The funny thing is, like, I was genuinely, like, during the lead up to the playoffs, I was like, yeah, go Knicks, man. Go get some wins. And then the playoffs happened, and then it just became, and we started this, and it just became fun to hate watch.
My theory is that he watched Game 5 and then deleted his notes. So I'm going to check his recently deleted. Hopefully there's not any other rap lyrics or anything like that in there, or poems or anything in there. Haikus. Soliloquies. It's funny as you said. I've actually been working on this one.
The darkest. Sorry.
This one's titled Thames. This one's titled Love Me, JJ.
Oh, wow. Wow. He knows. No.
Welcome back to another episode of Smoothie and the Bib. I'm here with my co-host and known Nick hater, the Bib.
It's not true.
It turns out that Brian watched games 6 and 7, but skipped 5.
Yeah, I did.
I think he also skipped 1 and 2 somehow.
No, I saw those.
Oh.
All I have to say is I guess the all black didn't work.
That's a common misnomer. Deuce McBride was wearing green. Jericho Sims, who
guess the all black didn't work, did it? Oh, man.
I think the worst part about that was Daquan Jeffries wearing a cowboy hat and a vest. This guy's only playing. He's the human white flag, and this guy's out there with a cowboy hat on. I think that didn't help anything.
Oh, man.
I think it was just a coincidence.
Yeah? You think so?
I mean, black is a very common color. A lot of people wear black. It's a good color.
It's almost like someone on this pod talked about how turning up mentality doesn't work when you reach your skill limit. And I understand that it's due to injuries, but, you know, it's almost like everyone always blames mentality. Sometimes it's just a skill issue, isn't it?
Of course it's a skill issue. We'll get into it. We can get it. We're gonna talk about the Knicks, obviously, because what else do we talk about? Yeah, well, I mean, you have notes.
I didn't see that one coming.
You have notes. We're going to talk some Knicks. We're going to talk about Bronny James. We're going to talk about Brian's Los Angeles Lakers to deflect the heat off of me in my demoralizing week.
Why?
We're going to talk about the front-running Indiana Pacers and their matchup. Game 1 was yesterday against the Boston Celtics. I really can't win watching that matchup. And then we're going to have Ant versus Luka Doncic tonight. Honestly, might tip off while we're recording. We're going to give our previews and our thoughts on that matchup. What else are we going to... I heard something about Jürgen Klopp. Is that on the budget?
No, it's not.
All right, the producer is fired. So we can just get right into it. As you guys may know, my New York Knicks are en route to Cancun.
I'm smiling.
Probably already there. Jalen Brunson's probably hooked up to a IV right now, fresh off his fractured hand. I didn't even realize that fractured hands required that much surgery, but
it's a lot of bones.
I thought it was his thumb. That's neither here nor there. But last time we talked, the Knicks were in a little bit of limbo. They got boat raced during the Mother's Day massacre, and I was in a state of shock, state of anger, confusion. Didn't know what to expect next. They come out, they win Game 5, which Brian miraculously never even knew happened.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even remember that. Sorry. I remember the immediate text because after Knicks losses, we'll pot it a couple days. Game 5 happens. You want to pot it right now? We can have a pot right now. I'm ready to go. I said no. I declined.
It wasn't a serious offer. The same way Brian.
Mine was a serious offer. The moment they lost, I was ready.
He knew not to text me the moment that they lost. But the day after, he didn't know how to approach it, and he just, out of character, said, hello, over text. And it was ominous. He didn't want to poke the bear, and it was a good decision not to poke.
I mean, I give everyone 24 hours, but
that wasn't even 24.
After that, I say hello.
I was like 16, maybe.
Sorry, the joy was too much. I had.
This guy was cheesing. Hate watching.
The funny thing is, like, I was genuinely like during the lead up to the playoffs. I was like, yeah, go Knicks, man, go get some wins. And then the playoffs happened, and then it just became, and we started this, and it just became fun to hate watch.
My theory is that he watched Game 5 and then deleted his notes. So I'm gonna check his recently deleted. Hopefully, there's not any other rap lyrics or anything like that, or poems or anything in there. Haikus, soliloquies. It's funny as you said. I've actually been working on this one.
The darkest. Sorry.
This one's titled Thames. This one's titled "Love Me, Jeje."
Oh wow, wow, he knows. Shout out.
Thank you for putting me onto that song first.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Because I have a tendency when I hear a song that I like, I will literally play it only. I'll drive a 20-minute drive and play the same song the whole time.
Creature of habit.
So I'm glad you took me out of my I'm 2 days into college era, because that song was getting.
She has another banger. For all who don't know, she's not good at parking.
This is the one you were singing last time. I don't know. Too topical.
Look at this man deflecting. This man is going everywhere except Indiana and then New York. My game 6. I said, was that another day game? That was the troll I was coming with.
That was Friday night, 8:30 p.m. only game, NBA slot. They're gonna put it at 8:30. I mean, whatever.
Was Sunday was a day game, right? Game
Sunday,
7.
Game 3:30.
Oh,
Biggest
man.
game of my life.
That's
utter disappointment.
It was the Sunday game.
Utter dread.
I think it was, I don't remember which was game 7 or it was definitely game 6 where I was wondering. Jalen in the second quarter this is a hard pull for you, but Jalen in the second quarter didn't play particularly well.
The whole first half he didn't play particularly well.
Yeah, so I guess that's where the question always arises to me is because these seem like the shots he normally makes. So then the question became, why is he not making these shots?
I think.
So, or what's the difference between these shots that he normally makes on the 40-point nights and these nights where he has these off games?
I mean, some of it is just like the variance of shot making, I think. But I do think that Indiana sold out even more to stop him in the last couple of games. I think during games 3 and 4, it was hard for him to get going because he was just coming off the foot, and also OG was out, so they were playing Achua at the 4, and people don't guard Precious Achua. So having that Cameroonian fellow down at the paint with Miles Turner on the other block, Pascal Siakam.
He's Cameroonian.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Shout out
Samuel
Emto. Every time I hear Cameroon, I have to shout out Samuel Emto.
I had a lot of notes on Siakam. I think I just like post players just because if you've ever seen me play basketball. So I'm naturally biased to just the way he plays. And game 6 for me felt like a Siakam game where he hit a lot of shots down the stretch. Unless my notes are off.
There was no stretch.
Or he had a lot of big shots, but
no, he killed them the second half of the series. I mean, it is convenient that his getting hot coincided with OG Anunoby not playing basketball. So I think that's interesting for sure, and a big part of the story. But to go back to your Brunson thing, I think he was really bad the first half of game 6, and they were down within that 13-ish range the whole second half after his slow start put them down 10 in the first half, and then he had a big second half, but it really was too late. He changed his shoes at halftime, so I don't know if he's superstitious, I guess. Took off the Grinches and threw on a different pair of Kobe's.
Maybe it was the all black.
It wasn't. They were white.
Maybe they needed to be all black for the mentality. +5. This is also really interesting to me because you have championed this belief of without expectation there is no failure or disappointment, and you do seem to be very disappointed.
I'm disappointed because I don't want the season to be over. I just want to keep watching them play basketball. But I'm not disappointed because all right.
I feel like this is a fundamental change from the things that you always say to me. This is a change from the arguments we've been having.
Hold on. We're jumping around too much. We're jumping around too much. I want to address each of your points.
Okay.
Coherently. All right.
You'd be tired to defend myself.
Jalen Brunson. No. Jalen Brunson. Game 6, first half, bad. I think he got to a slow start, and he ended up taking a lot of shots trying to get himself going. But the way that they were tilting their defense toward him and like stacking up the defense, it kind of, especially that game was weird because Josh Hart got hurt too, so he was like in and out and like in agony the whole game. And then Deuce had like an amazing start to Game 6, and Dante was playing really well too. And Jalen just couldn't get going. And then by the time Jalen got going, everybody else had kind of gone cold. And so I think Brunson had a bad first half Game 6, and I think he had a bad Game 7. And like, it's frustrating that like his like 2 of his poor games, I guess, came when we needed it the most. But at the same time, like, I don't think that with the state Josh Hart was in and like the way that things were going, like I think they still could have won that series. And I think like if we're gonna go back to anything, it's more Game 3 than it is any other point thereafter, just because like that was their best opportunity. The Brunson making shots part is like he did miss a lot of shots that he normally makes, but I also think that he was very focused on getting himself going. It seems like in Game 6 and 7, and like that ended up coming to the detriment of the rest of the team in a way. And like I understand that because like you're not gonna win a game either of those games, especially without OG at that point, without Brunson getting going. So it is important for him to get going, but like the slow starts kind of just tank the offense, especially like when they couldn't really get stops.
Especially against a front running team. If you like the Pacers, especially, like you cannot allow them to have a lead and start
or any momentum or confidence.
Yeah, they are very much like a high and low team, and like you just gave them, not obviously you were trying, but like the ability to get out in the lead and start dancing and running around and jumping and calling people small behind their back, like you,
and then picking his nose immediately after. And meanwhile, Deuce had 20 in that game and he had 15. I don't really understand it.
But then, did you have an issue with them not being pulled at 7 minutes? That was a note I had.
7 minutes left in the game.
Because is that the game where they were able to cut it, or is that Game 7? It's been a
Game 7. Game 7.
We can talk about Game 7.
They cut it to 7 in the third quarter. Dante hit a bunch of big threes. They're down 7 or 8, I believe. And Deuce had a wide open 3 off a trap. He missed a wide open 3. They got the offensive rebound. They didn't end up scoring. Pacers get the ball back. They were down like 8, I think, still. Deuce had a wide open corner 3, turned it down, threw a Steve. They score off it. They're up down 10. Then
this guy's so cool. I don't even know what throw a Steve means, but anyway. Sorry. Maryland.
In our ableist society today, I don't think I can tell you what that means.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
It's
a DMV slang.
It's not.
I'm blaming it on the people. Let me blame it on the people.
No.
Of the good people.
Shout out my second home. Well, besides New Jersey, my third home is the DMV. Shout out to Turnpike.
Everywhere.
Mandatory. Threw a turnover. They score. Then they're down 10. Then Brunson throws a turnover, and Halliburton goes in transition, and then he tries to slide down and breaks his hand, and then the season is basically officially done at that point, down 12 in the third quarter. And that was the closest they got in the second half. And just a lot of like mistakes and just carelessness. I have
to say it was a valiant effort for Augua. Valiant effort. That's Willis Reed right there.
I agree, and it was really cool seeing him make shots. And I think in the moment I was like I was on the same page as you, and then I heard people talking about it on the Hoop Collective, and they were just like, well, people like Windhorst and all of them and Bontemps, but they were like, honestly, like it's in hindsight, like it was kind of stupid. Like he couldn't guard anybody. They like Nembhard got that first 3 that he walked right into because OG couldn't move at all, and like it just started a snowball of them shooting 80% in the first quarter.
Oh yeah, the shot making.
Oh my,
was just ludicrous. That like they just couldn't miss.
And that's the thing is like the Game 7s is like why you don't want to go to a Game 7 because like everyone says it and it sounds cliche, like anything can happen in a Game 7, whereas like anything can happen in any game. But like I guess the finality of it being a Game 7, like Nesmith, Nembhard, Isaiah Jackson, and like McConnell didn't miss a shot or something.
Yeah.
In the whole game, and like Nembhard and Nesmith have continued to play well, so it's kind of like the Caleb Martin thing last year, where it's like, oh, this guy's just gonna have like a burner for like a month, and that's kind of is what it is. The Siakam thing was just hard because like they didn't. Like Hart does an okay on job on him, and like he still has moments in games like 3 and 4 and stuff. But like especially when Hart got compromised early in game 6, it's kind of like, we either have to play can't breathe Josh Hart or we're gonna tank our whole offense by playing Precious. So at that point, you were kind of in
it's a no-win situation.
A coinky dink.
He still made tough shots though.
How many of those were tough shots though?
He just
kept walking into mid-range jump shots.
Wow, that's a tough
shot.
That's a tough shot to me. Sorry.
I mean, me too, but I mean, it's not tough for him. Obviously, he's making. Bro, how many of those did he make last night against Boston? Just free throw line.
Again, I'm telling you.
2 minutes left. Hey, he's gonna shoot a free throw line jumper.
They can't stop it.
Can't stop it.
NBA champion.
Can't stop it. DiVincenzo, big game 7, 39 points, 9 threes, a record for a game 7. Like he was literally picking up like full court and playing hard like till the whistle blew.
I mean, that kind of segues me into the general point of like how good is Dante DiVincenzo, because
it's crazy.
I just can't believe he's this good of a shooter, and maybe I guess that's Knicks hate, but like the man just like didn't miss the entire playoffs, so I don't know.
That's
I understand
not true.
he also had a very good regular season, but I can't.
He was shaky in games, the first couple games against Philly, and obviously he had the big shot in game 2 and stuff like that. But I mean, I think like that's kind of like, if we're taking the zoom out view, like I think that's
let's move on.
some of the benefits of what the season kind of was. We can talk about the expectations too. I'm not running away from that point because I'm standing on business. But I think like that's one of the cool things about this year is like when you have like players like Deuce McBride or even like Precious when he was good at basketball during the regular season. That was cool.
When he was
Dante,
good at basketball.
Like Hartenstein, even like seeing all these guys like continue to elevate their game and like defy expectations. Like they got out of Dante DiVincenzo was like for like the mid-level exception. Like he's making like $12.9 million a year, and he made like 283s in the regular season.
Well, that's my concern moving forward, and we can talk about it. We can talk about it with expectations. But like, is he gonna make 200? Is he gonna be the third most makes in the league again?
Probably
into next
not.
year?
But I mean, I think you can, if assuming that the team is the same construction, I think he's gonna make like he can probably not 280 because there was even stretches where Brunson was out and he was shooting like 15 threes a night and making like
that's
8.
What I'm trying to understand.
But I'm saying like that this kind of goes to the conversation we're having like pre-pod, where it's like just because you're increasing role and volume doesn't mean that you're necessarily capable of doing it. And like I don't think he's been ever put in a position in his career or like boosted up in a way in his career to this point to have that much consistency of role, confidence, comfort, like all these things like matter, like in just terms of like athletic performance. So it's like,
of course, but on last pod we had this argument where I said then decreasing the role, we don't know how that's going to affect the team either.
I don't think
you're pretty steadfast in that he's going to take this accrued confidence and reliability and all the things that he did, and then go into a lesser role and still accomplish it.
It doesn't change his game that much.
It does though.
Not really, because
like, if you know you're getting 17 shots a game, unlimited on court, just go shoot it. That's a lot different, and like rhythm wise, it's different.
It's different, but I mean, I don't think that's going to change because he was doing that when Randall was there. It was just more so like you can do it even more because like we don't really have a choice.
Exactly, but there's one basketball now, so
yeah. But I'm saying the shots
impact it. No,
it's gonna impact it, but it's also like instead of him having to come off of a pin down from Hartenstein and shoot like coming right, shooting a moving 3, like it's different when two people double Randall. It's a swing, and now you have a wide open set your feet 3. Like he's gonna get like I don't think the shot volume is gonna change because they want him to shoot those shots, and like that's.
Like, I have to disagree. Guy shot a lot of shots.
He shot a lot of shots, but I'm saying the quality of looks that he's going to get will be better next year than they were this year.
And they will also be fewer.
I mean, we could look into the numbers and see his.
You can look into the numbers. I'm an eye test kind of man. Again,
this guy watches 8 games and then goes off the eye test. Didn't see Game 5, but he's going off the eye test. Great.
I saw the Philly series. Relax.
Cool.
The series we won? Is that what you're talking?
I didn't even know you could watch a game for the next one.
I can't. I scrub them from my eyes immediately. Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, it's like team biased, or like bias sounds like such a harsh word, but I think it's like hoping for the best for your team to assume that he's going to have that same level with that decreased or diminished role.
But you don't. The other thing is about that is like you don't need him to have the value that he had this year for him to still be better than he was. Like he can be better than he was pre-Randall injury. Better than he was pre-Randall injury, but not to the
As
same
good as
level
he
that
is.
he was in like when he's a second option or third option. Like it's not like it's like an either or. Like
But it's a question mark.
it's not a question.
Is the thing.
But you think
You don't think he doesn't have to land in that area where he is better.
yeah, but the assumption that he's going to land in the lowest percentage outcome of the possibilities is also not something I'm going to do either. Like I'm not going to assume that he's going to be what he is now because that's not realistic based on just volume. But I'm also not going to assume that oh my god, it's going to be such a shock to the system that he's going to be worse than he was. Like that doesn't also sound realistic because he's been a role player his whole career.
That's not my argument. My argument would be that there is a bunch of variables that are going to change when you introduce a player who's ball dominant and who's going to be a key piece of your offense. And then that is going to therefore affect how your entire season goes. And like you said last time, like a big reason for the Knicks' optimism that they're going to take another step forward, and that's assuming that like all these roles are sort of set in stone. I think, to me, so and that you can sort of plug people in.
But the roles are still set in stone.
They could be set in stone. It'll still have to be worked out on the court.
But how is it worked out if we have proof of concepts that it's worked before?
Smoothie and the bib bingo. It hasn't worked before because you haven't gotten to the playoff run that you wanted yet. That's
true,
not
but
through their fault. That's obviously due to injury. But like there is no proof of concept of how this works in the playoffs.
I guess that's true, but I think if we were going to point out the Knicks' biggest flaw, especially in this Indiana series, I would say one is obviously shot creation. I would say two is like rebounding, and I would say like three is like physicality and not like being able to consistently match physicality. And those are all things that Randall
Those were the Knicks' biggest flaws?
Well, I mean, if like you could say defense, but I also think like that makes sense. Your best defender, one of the best defenders in the NBA, is out for the series. Mitchell Robinson's out for the series. Like you could see how your defense could fall off. I think from the other standpoints, it was the lack of shot creation outside of Brunson.
Yeah.
And Randall automatically addresses that.
Okay. Again, I'm too biased by Julius. Sorry.
But I don't even think that's not even being objective then, because it's like if we're not gonna say that like no one's like he's not a perfect player by any stretch of the imagination, but the idea that he's not a good shot creator is just not factual. It's not accurate.
It's not accurate to me.
How many fours in the NBA are there better than Julius Randle?
Michael, relax. Is he better than Pascal Siakam?
It's close.
Okay.
I'd give it to Siakam.
Yeah. That's one. I did it. Ooh, anyway.
I'd say how many?
I don't know. I don't like to list people. I put people in tiers. We know this, all right? I'm a Nick Wright disciple. Anyway, I'm more thinking along the lines of if they're shading to Jalen, or if they're doing this, or if they're doing that, and then it goes back to Julius, how is that going to impact him in the playoffs, and how is he going to do that in the playoffs? And we can assume that he will be pretty good in the playoffs, but we don't know that those assumptions are going to be true.
We don't know a lot.
My point.
We don't know a lot of things, but I do think that if the Knicks were, I don't subscribe to the idea that the Knicks are going to get worse with Julius Randle.
See, all of this to me is introducing variables to the bigger point I have, in which you kind of argue again. We're going back to it, of Jalen Brunson being a superstar, right? So to me, the issue with arguing that is that when you elevate him to that status, and then you also hype up the team around him, then that places the expectation on you to win a championship, because then your team is set according to new CBA rules. This is the team. We have all the guys we need on the mid-level exception. We have all these things, set in stone. We have the coach we want. We have all these things. The organization is running well. All these things. Now your expectation is to win a championship.
I agree the window's open, or is beginning to open. I think they'll make moves accordingly. But
beginning to open is wild to me when you've had 2 playoff runs already.
Yeah, but I don't think the roster was close to maximize the fact that you wouldn't say that the Knicks were contenders either, or should have had championship expectations either of those 2 years. Just because they made playoff runs doesn't mean that that's their maximized roster, or they made moves to make themselves a contender. Like, the reason that the window, quote unquote, opens and technically would have started this year is because they traded their young players to get win now players to try to do that. So I think that next year, like, I don't think the expectation next year should be to make the conference finals. I mean, obviously have to see how other teams shape out, and like a lot of teams can look way different than they do this year because there's a few teams in the East that have a lot of cap and a few teams that can make a lot of moves. But I think like with the personnel and like if we ran back this team, I think that the conference finals should be the expectation. In the same way it was this year, and
they were close to it before injuries, and we don't really know where they would have gone without injuries. I guess my sort of my real contestation. Let's hope I use that one incorrectly. Disestablishmentarianism fans.
Yourself.
It's just I look back on like the Rockets run and the Clippers run. Like I've seen a clip of JJ describing that Clippers run, which ended up being 4 years. Where they felt like that was really ended up being a 4-year window where they were able to actually win. Mm. And it kind of just ended up being 1 year was injuries, 1 year, second year was like 3-1 comeback, third year was like injuries, and after that we really weren't really a team. We didn't like each other at all.
That was most of the years.
Sure,
but that's also most teams' story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
which is what I'm saying. So
there's a window.
We don't know that was like a 4-year window, and we just kind of assumed that that's open for the Knicks. And then like the other one was like the Rockets to me, where like you had the defined superstar player. They had the team that was seemingly built around him in their own unique way. And they had, I think it was one conference finals run. It ended up, again, injuries. Injuries took 1 year, I believe, or 2 years, I think it is. And then 1 year was the 27 missed 3-pointers in a row year.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of it.
What's your point?
My point of it is fighting so hard for them to be, like, respected. I just feel like it's a fool's errand to like want them to be elevated to this level without like
elevated to what level though?
You want them to be a contender like so bad. You want them to be a superstar team.
I don't.
You want the respect from the national media.
I don't.
You want people to stop sleeping on your Knicks. And I say, just let them sleep and enjoy it. That's what I keep trying to tell you and all the Knicks fans.
Well, all right. First and foremost, okay. I think that I get frustrated when people talk about the basketball in a way that shows that you don't watch basketball, or it's just more of a narrative-based take.
God, so you hate me. That's why we have this podcast. I've gotten it now.
We never.
All right, go on. Go continue.
It finally clicks.
Yeah. Took me a while.
Just kidding.
I'm a narrative follower. You know.
Just got sheep.
As Rogan. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't I just think like my issue with that is more like the narrative of it all. Like I think like most people who if we're just talking not narratives and just talking about just the basketball of it, I think that most people have the Knicks fairly rated. I think that people understood that yesterday I think that they could have won that series still, but at the same time there's nothing to hang your head about when all things considered, and I don't think that many teams could have weathered what they weathered through this year to be where they are, and that's more of a testament to their stability and culture and what they're building and and what they stand for, I guess, as an organization, which has not been something that the Knicks in my lifetime have represented.
I see everything you're saying is fine. My issue is that I feel like you want to elevate them to that status,
but I think
out of the status is what I'm saying.
But if the Knicks were healthy, they would be. If the Knicks were healthy this year, they would have been a contender. If they had Randall and OG and the whole team and Bogey and everybody,
I think
there's a case to
Contender's
be
thrown about a bit loosely, but sure. Yes.
yeah, but if there's people who were saying that if the Knicks were healthy, they think they could beat Boston. They still think Boston's a favorite, but they think they could beat Boston. Wouldn't that make them a contender?
Yeah, but I think Boston is a bad one just because nobody really likes Boston except for Boston fans. But
Well,
I understand what you're saying is that people are
it's not unfair to it's not like I'm saying it and we're still talking about Kevin Knox and Frankie Lucchino. Like they're a very good basketball team with a very good role players. Mileage may vary on Julius Randle, like I get it. But like I also think that it's gotten to a point where like people talk about Julius Randle like he's Tobias Harris. And like I think it's kind of played out. Like I'm not saying Randall's perfect, but I do think that like the idea that 25, 10, and 5 just grows on trees, and the idea that like I guess also like I saw like it was a short sample size of course, but like Randall with OG and like what that unit looked like and that team looked like it was very different from when RJ and Quickly were here, and even like if you think about it, like when's the last time you seen Jalen Brunson like walk into like a wide open three or a wide open shot off of like a possession that wasn't created by him?
And you
like
think that Julius is going to demand the attention required to do that?
He does. Like there's like a handful of fours in this league that can guard Julius Randle one-on-one. Like there's not like the idea that he was averaging like 25, 26 for like 3 or 4 years and it was just like, all right, I'm just going to be terribly inefficient and just shoot long twos. Like, that really wasn't the full picture, especially this year. Like, his game was completely diversified from where it's been in the past. Like, he cut out.
What was that? What was that diversification?
He cut, like, his touches were way closer to the basket. Instead of 18 feet out on the wing, he's getting his touches in, like, the low block. This way, like, once you touch it, like, he's shooting way more paint shots than he was, like, those long mid-range fades and stuff like that.
And are you sure that's sustainable in the playoff atmosphere where we know that the fouls change and all those things change?
Yeah, but it's not about fouls. It's about there's not many fours that are even as strong as Julius Randle. Like you can't single cover Julius Randle.
Okay. I think
teams don't single cover Julius Randle. Like it's not even about what I think or what you think about it. It's the fact of like they just don't single cover Julius Randle. He's like 6'9", 6'10", 240. Like he's strong as shit. Like he gets wherever he wants when he puts the ball down. The decision making has been in question, but by getting your touches lower down consistently, that means you're putting more pressure on the defense, which means they have to send two more often. And then with the shooting that the Knicks have, which they didn't have before, which is like the problem what they had in the Miami series where it was Josh Hart and RJ and neither were being guarded. Now those corners are Dante and Anunoby. Like it's just different. The spacing's different. Like
I guess I just try to think about it like big picture NBA, and to me, like it sounds like you end up describing a team that could be like that can fall into the same lineage of like the Grit and Grind Grizzlies or the same Clippers I was talking about,
but you just,
or
those teams aren't even
the
similar.
same Rocket. Not in terms of how they play. I mean, in terms of the ceiling.
Yeah, but can't any of those teams fall into that same ceiling? And any contender can't. What's separating the Sixers and Embiid and them from being in that same category? What's stopping the Magic? That's sort of my
general point. Is that
it just applies to all teams that are pretty good? Is what you're saying?
Actually, yes.
So then what am I?
Because you consistently argue to push them out of this tier, out of this level, from being the pretty good, let's enjoy where we're going season, to being, no, this is a legitimate team that should be expecting to make the finals.
But is that it's not like I'm just saying that or like Knicks fans are just saying that. That was a general consensus reached by a lot of people.
And I'm talking to you about your expectations as a fan.
Yeah, but I'm saying
because
we just established that them being a championship team or being in the Eastern Conference Finals and being the possibility of winning that series is not far-fetched for this team. So if I'm saying that, am I saying they're better than Boston? No. Am I saying that they wouldn't lose to a team like Philly next year depending on how they look? No. But, like, am I supposed to say, like, yeah, like, the Knicks are, like, this is fun. Like, we're, like, the same thing as, like, the Magic and the Pacers and, like, is that something, like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what I'm saying that's outlandish. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
I don't think it's outlandish. I think I just have concern about like not. This sounds so crazy, but like when you elevate your team to that level and then they don't succeed, then it's so like vicious. That's my only point. My point is that like even there's so many great teams that are normally formulated into NBA, and a lot of NBA history is just like really great teams and really great units just end up losing to a superstar player like time and time again. That kind of happens. So like to me, it's just like don't force them to a higher level. There's just a lot of danger there. That's all.
I don't think it's, the danger.
That's
The
all I'm
danger
saying.
comes from
The danger to me is the look on your face at the start of this podcast where they were fully hurt. There were all these things that went against them, and you're still disappointed. So imagine you elevate them to that level, and then the disappointment comes anyway.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. Doesn't, I'm gonna be sad no matter how the season ends.
That doesn't
if
end
the season
in the
ever ends. Yeah, I'm gonna be sad. Like it doesn't matter how the season ends. Like,
I think there's levels.
I think there's levels to it. And it's all contextual. Like I think if they were healthy, I would be angry and not disappointed.
Exactly,
it's different. But that's all relative to my own expectations for the team. Like
exactly,
the idea that's
the purpose.
Yeah, but you telling me to temper my expectations so I don't get hurt?
Yes,
it doesn't make any sense.
I'm an empath.
I don't care. I just don't care.
I want them to win the NBA championship, and I'll be disappointed
I'm
if they
not
don't.
saying that. Like, I think it's all relative. Like, I think I won't know how I feel until it happens, and I'll feel that way because of X, Y, and Z that happened. Like, I don't think that I shouldn't be scared to say that they're a good basketball team because they are. I shouldn't be scared to say that Jalen Brunson's good at basketball because he is. I shouldn't have to say that Julius Randle is not Tobias Harris, but I guess I do.
Okay. All right. I'll hold my own.
So where do you think the Knicks are going into next season then? Where do you hold the Knicks? And what are you trying to brainwash me into thinking with your propaganda?
Oh no, the propaganda is that for a lot of time we've spoken about like the outside sources and like you've had a lot of vitriol for sort of narrative building and all these things. So to me it's like once you have crossed this border where you're saying right now that you like no longer care about anybody's like expectations.
It's not about.
You don't care about Brian saying maybe just temper that. Maybe let's relax a little bit.
No one's.
You no longer care about any of that because the season will go. You are gonna make your expectations based on what you say, and you are going to live by them. I will now crucify you mercilessly. There will be no more mercy in how we discuss basketball. Is my point.
I just think me pointing out stupid narratives that are put forward, like, oh, Tibbs is killing all his players. The Knicks are a fluke. The Knicks are overrated. Like conversations, like I obviously shouldn't care because it's like on ESPN, and like we know how they tend to like to generate views and clicks and subscribers.
I'm saying for like our personal conversations, if like moving forward, the tone had always been like, hey man, it's okay. Like if like this series here where like I have this like genuinely like upbeat tone and like it's fine. I understand there was injuries. That doesn't exist anymore when you become the team that that becomes the team that you're talking about.
I understand that. Doesn't mean like
and it shouldn't and you shouldn't.
But I think that's a good thing. Like for I as a Jets fan and a Knicks fan love the realm of or not loved past tense the realm of no expectations. But then I realized that's stupid because if you want to achieve anything, you have to have expectations. If you want to do anything good, you have to have expectations. And I think them being good and relevant again and like sustainably good is like it comes with the territory. And like I think that like I said this year so many times, like I do not understand how people watch their teams play close playoff games every year because I can't. Like I'm having anxiety attacks. And I think next year,
right back at it.
I'll be right back at it, and I'll be better equipped to handle my anxieties.
No, you won't, because you will have them on an even higher level, and then when Dante DiVincenzo misses a couple shots that you're used to him making, then there will be death threats at his door.
No, I don't do that.
I'm kidding, not you. There will be broken chairs in the room. So that's what I'm saying. So
it's funny you say that. Last year, game 4,
and this was with no expectations.
Miami series. I forgot what happened. I think Quickly took a terrible shot. I punched a hole right in my table. Straight through it. I can't believe he shot that still. To this day. And then I went to a barbecue with like faculty, and and classmates.
with a sprained wrist.
And when I got there, all the students had left, and it was just the faculty. So I was just playing cornhole with my professor.
With one arm.
Who was a Heat fan. Hey, how about the Knicks, huh? You're lucky I'm still enrolled. Just throw your beanbag.
No, I had no. That's what I'm saying. Moving forward for you, I have no sympathy because you are creating and building a narrative, though.
What's my narrative?
That they are a contender, that they're good enough to win.
I mean, obviously, like I'm saying that now. I have to see what the Sixers do because, like, I don't know. How many
it sounds like a lot of excuses to me.
It's not. It's just you can't make statements like that without context.
Nope. No, you again.
Right now.
We have moved
as all teams currently constructed. I think
you gotta stop. You gotta stop with these qualifiers. You
have
have a superstar player.
No.
Yes, it is.
Because you can't talk about sports without qualifiers and context. And I refuse for you to put me into a box of saying I'm gonna take away all the context, which is like 80% of it, and then I want you to give me this opinion. Because then I'm a talking head. Then I'm ESPN. Is that what you want me to be?
No, you can give.
You want me to be Shannon Sharp? You want me to be Chris Mad Dog? I can be Chris Mad Dog.
I love Shay Shay. No, you can give the context and the thing, but I'm saying, even within the context,
so maybe this is like
the fundamental of your argument is now that we have a superstar player, we have a secondary player who complements his superstar player, we have the team that we have. So every time you provide context that seems to lessen the blow, I'm going to hold you to that because that is the territory that you have moved them into.
You want me to say we're in the Eastern Conference Finals this year? I'm supposed to tell you where I think the Knicks will be next year.
What I mean, if that's the discussion that we're having, and we're talking about your expectations.
Okay, so I'm supposed to tell you that the Knicks are better than the Sixers next year when they're going to have 2 players on their roster in 2 weeks. How am I supposed to do that? Got him.
You're supposed to be confident in this team. You're supposed to believe in the expectations. I'm confident in this team,
but I can't tell you they're going to be better than this team when I know 2 people on the roster and there's 13 open spots. I don't know what decisions Boston makes. I don't know what decisions Cleveland makes. I don't know if Darius Garland's there. I don't know if Donovan Mitchell's there. I don't know who's playing with Embiid and Maxey. I don't know what the Magic spend their cap space on. These things matter to be quote-unquote contenders because how many contenders are there, like you just said? There's a few. I think it's likely they still fall into that bucket, but I can't give you a definitive answer until I see other rosters and see how they compare.
So what you've done here is buy yourself more time.
It's not buying time. It's just you want a premature answer.
Because no matter what,
it's a premature answer.
So okay, I'll give you. It's a premature answer.
I know.
So when you give the answer in 2 weeks, and
not
the answer is whenever the answer is
August,
4 months, 7 months,
September,
whenever the answer is
October, maybe.
Then the question will then return. Why were you so confident? Why is Jalen a superstar? Why have you been singing the praises of all these guys? If whoever the Sixers or whatever pick up is going to then drastically change your decision.
This is interesting.
That's the question to me.
This is
how are you so overly into this team and can spin their praises and virtues and all the qualities of this team and then also be terrified of whatever guy is going to make $12 million on the Bird exception?
It's not about the Bird exception because they have $70 million in 2 players. And if we had a conversation where I said that when we talked about the Philly series, that Philly is as scary as a team moving forward as you can imagine because they have Embiid and Maxey and unlimited cap space. That's who I'm mainly talking about. I'm not really talking about anybody else. And I do think that Philly, with the moves that they're assumed to be making in terms of adding like another star to that mix, would be better than the Knicks. Does that mean the Knicks can't beat them? I don't know because I don't know what their roster looks like. But everything else, like I don't think it changes the fact that I do think that the Knicks are going to be one of the 4 best teams in the East, or pretty much. I don't know what qualifies a contender, but I think the Knicks will be fine. Like, I think Brunson will be fine. I think
what I'm going to do is consistently ask you to give definitive takes within context that you have and continue and force you to continue to make these takes.
What's our take
like
for today?
It's a top what?
What's our take for today? What is the question that you want me to definitively answer for today? As we close out the Knicks topic.
You answered it. You expect them to be a top 4 seed. You expect them to be a contender. You're terrified of Philly, which then I don't know how you square that with Giannis, and then I don't know how you square with that with any of the teams in the West if they're all legitimate contender. And all these teams in the West are also great teams.
If the Knicks make the finals next year,
don't give me the ifs. It's fine. You just said what you said. You gave me the take for today. They're a top 4 team.
Yes.
In the East.
Yes.
They're a legitimate contender.
Possibly.
You're
Depending
terrified
on
of
roster
Philly.
construction. I am concerned about the maneuvers.
You're
that Philly can
terrified of
pull
Philly.
off. I am concerned slightly.
You're terrified of the
Knicks
Philadelphia
and 6, by the way.
76ers.
Philly, you suck. I'm slightly scared of you guys, though.
You're terrified of Philly.
Not you guys, the team, but like the residents of that horrific city.
Okay. You're terrified of Philly.
Brian approves this message.
You don't think I do not? Hey man, oh my gosh, I wanted a cheesesteak so bad.
How did you get there? Was it the New Jersey Turnpike?
It was.
Cool. Shout out to Turnpike.
Yeah. So top 4 tender. You're terrified of all of Philly. You don't think that Dame's good, so I'm assuming you're not scared of the Bucks. I'm assuming that you're also scared of the Celtics since they let you in, since they're still in the playoffs.
Yes.
I'm assuming Indiana pushover and you don't like them, so they're trash.
I would love to see those
front runners again.
Okay. Again soon.
Indiana's whatever
would be different.
I'm trying to think of all the takes.
Orlando, Cleveland.
Was Cleveland hurt at all last year when you talked about them taking your heart and spirit and soul and all that? Anyway, fine.
Nope.
So
we packed them
up. You think they're like the 3rd best team in the East?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the West and what you think of them because I'm assuming you have them somewhere around 7th best team in the league then. And yeah.
I'd probably say
you're gonna
like
do so you have
8th to 10th. The West is pretty loaded. But
right.
if we're talking
if we're
talking Knicks finals, then something's gone very well.
Gotcha. I think it's a little bit confusing to me how strong of opinions you have on the team. Just to say,
no,
they're 7th. They're the 7th best team in the league after all that.
Because
at your best.
Well, let's see. OKC.
That's my confusion.
Minnesota.
And that's where I think
Dallas.
It is a fan narrative.
Nah, I don't think it is
a fan-shaped narrative.
I just think that you don't rate them properly. So I disagree with you. I think I know exactly where they stand. In the league ecosystem, I think that you underrate them.
I don't.
And put questions on them that are answerable, but not to you, but to me.
Sure, but I think to me that's being 6 through 10. I have them rated. That's what I always discover when we have these long form conversations is that we rate them exactly the same.
Yes.
But you rate while we rate them exactly the same, you have an overtly positive spin on that, and I have an overtly negative one on it. That's what I always learn. And I tend to think that that's due to the fact that I'm not a supporter of the team. You tend to think that's some of the fact that I'm a narrative spinner, and that's how we do.
I don't understand how I don't understand how the Knicks have gotten to this point of where they are, and if we have them ranked the same theoretically, that
around the same, yeah,
that it could be a negative spin as when they are beginning or like a year into their ascension, as compared to you talking about them like they're on the tail end. They're on the decline. Or if they are on ascension, it's up a very shallow, non-tall hill.
I think
because I don't understand how we could be so apart, but are apparently ranked in the same.
Because to me, a 6 to 10 ranked team is just, from an outsider's perspective, it's like, oh, it's a nice team. It's cute.
How many teams in the East would you definitively say are better than the Knicks right now? All rosters healthy, no season moves.
I'm not doing it. I can't. How are you gonna spin the question back on me that you just said you can't answer? Guy. You exactly.
I said I didn't say next summer.
Master.
I didn't say next summer. I didn't say next summer. I didn't say in August. I said today if the rosters were the same that they were going into the playoffs. Let's say.
That's so many hypotheticals.
All right. So the Celtics played the Pacers yesterday in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
6th ranked team. I'm supposed to what?
I
throw
agree.
A goddamn parade? Like, no, they're the 6th ranked team. If I'm not a fan of the 6th ranked team, then I don't care about the sixth ranked team.
So
You're the sixth ranked team.
Jalen Brunson is barely a star.
Now, see, talk about throwing narratives, right?
Jalen Brunson's a star.
I've said he's on.
Julius
the
Randle
line
is
to
the
club
worst
superstar.
all-star in recent memory. Dante DiVincenzo is going to get significantly worse next year in his role.
Doesn't have to be significantly. Doesn't have to be significantly.
Deuce McBride only played in the playoffs. But the next year, the sixth best team. How does that work? How does that math?
I think you're prescribing that I'm going ascribing that I'm saying they're going to fall off. Listen, man, I'm not a master of words like some people here. All right, I'm sorry. I think you're placing a narrative on me, narrative builder, that I think they're going to fall off a cliff. What I think is that playoff margins are tiny, and that to expect the same things when there are certain question marks. I think that like the best teams, they have minimized question marks, and even with those,
all teams have question marks.
Of course, but you try to make the question mark smaller, or the size of the question smaller, and even in doing that, you can still lose.
Do the Bucks have more question marks than the Knicks?
I don't know the Bucks' salary cap constraints and constructions, but probably yes. I also do think that Giannis Antetokounmpo is a bit of a eraser of question marks. That's what historically great players do. They erase question marks.
That's why they had this stellar regular season.
And they were also injured, and also had multiple coaching changes.
When they weren't injured, they were bad, and their defense was awful. And Giannis was part of it.
That's true. Giannis was also a part of a championship run was the word I was looking for.
Drew Holiday.
Yeah, so now Giannis Antetokounmpo was led to the championship by Drew Holiday.
Who doing that?
Narrative
Who doing
spinner.
that lob?
You see, I'm the one who's spinning narratives. This guy just told you that Drew Holiday is what led Giannis to the championship.
Okay, my point being, sure. And sorry, I did not expect it to take 51 minutes. I did. But we'll touch on the other series very quickly after this.
We're not.
We will very quickly. I just think I don't think there's that many question marks around the Knicks. The only real question mark around the Knicks is was Julius Randle and what the team looked like in January when they first got OG, is that real?
That's a pretty big question mark.
It's a big question mark, but what are the other question marks? You said minimizing question marks. If there's one question mark, and it's a medium-sized question mark,
it's a massive question mark.
Okay,
because
how is it a massive question mark?
It's like what I said with Jalen. If Jalen Brunson continued to score 44 points per game, he'd be the greatest player ever. Jalen Brunson obviously is not going to continue to score 44 points a game or whatever he was scoring. Right. The 40 balls in a row. So we knew that level is somewhere below that, right? We didn't know where the bottom of that level was. We knew it was somewhere in between that. That's the same thing with me, with the Knicks and their stupendous lineup that they ran out for however many games they were together. They looked wonderful. Yeah. It's a pretty big question mark to see where the actual range of that is. Where's the bottom of that lineup?
Is the range of that? Is the range of that?
And it's somewhere in between that.
Is the range of that lineup?
And we haven't seen it in the playoffs.
Is the range of
that lineup? Which is another question mark.
So the assumption that we're going to make is that the range of that lineup is not. Your skepticism lies in the fact that you don't think that level of play that we saw in January will be higher than what we saw against the Indiana Pacers or Philadelphia 76ers without 3 rotation players? Without Randall, without Bogey, without OG, without Mitch?
We don't know. I assume, as a basketball fan, that it will be more than enough to get them past the first round matchup, probably the second round. And then there will be a competition for the second round matchup. We don't know how they shape out. What I more so say is that, which is what I continue to say to you, is that if we both agree that they're somewhere between 6 and 10, 5 and 10, 6 and 10, 7 and 10, whatever, that you will see that as a positive because you knew when they were 30th and you've seen them grow to be the seventh best team in the league. And you will look back on that narrative, growth, and love it. I saw them be bad, and now they're pretty good. Pretty good teams don't scare me. They're just pretty good teams.
So if pretty good is,
and pretty good teams make finals runs occasionally. Pretty good teams also do what the Rockets did or what the Clippers did. We don't know. So until they get to that level where I can say, this looks like a team that's more than pretty good to me, they're not going to scare me.
October can't come soon enough.
Okay.
The Vengeance Tour will be magnificent.
Are you scared at all about OG's injuries and Julius? Was Julius injured last playoffs as well?
Yes,
I
he
don't
was.
remember. Is that concerning at all? Not in like a tip sense, in like a general just
no,
like
not Randall.
injury
OG, yes, not Randall. No.
So that seems like a pretty big linchpin of your defense. And that was one of the things I did note as well. Is like every time OG didn't play, I gained more respect for his ability to change the defense that the Knicks were running. And then
Pacers are just also a really tough cover. I just don't think the Knicks haven't figured out necessarily how to best play defense against the Pacers. And like they give them trouble in the regular season, but also the OG injury concern is certainly real.
Sounds like a question mark to me.
It's a question mark. I agree. You have me there.
God, Pacers in 7. I said Pacers in 6. What an idiot. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a friend earlier. He's taking victory laps. I told you the Pacers had it. I said, you must have had a magic...
you must have
saw the
had
future,
an injury tracker.
Did you? What did you do to OG Anunoby's hamstring?
Did you have one of those dolls?
Why did you refracture Mitchell Robinson's ankle?
Can we talk about the Pacers not calling timeout? I was in and out of that game, right? I watched most of it, especially like going down to the end. What I was thinking about Halliburton in general was like, I think there are certain players where sometimes the stats over what word am I looking for? We can elevate them based on the stats, and I feel like Halliburton, to me, seems to impact the game more than his stats show sometimes. That's what I notice. Because I'll see like, wow, I will feel like, oh, that was a good stretch for the Pacers that was led by Halliburton. And don't get me wrong, there's times where he disappears in games too. I will say that. But there does seem to be times where I'm like, oh, he really impacted that game pretty much. And then he'll come out with like 22 and 8. And I'm like, well, those stats didn't have the thing. Am I wrong in that?
No, I mean,
and he'll come up with a good defensive play here and there too as well.
I think like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to evaluate because like a lot of his like strengths, quote unquote, like have also been like embraced and amplified by like the personnel that they have, where it's like
good team,
like
good team building.
Because it's like even like in the Knicks series, for most of the Knicks series, honestly, I felt more scared when McConnell was in the game than when Halliburton was in the game. And like obviously there was moments where Halliburton took over and made shots, but like I think it's just more so like the relentless tempo and pace and the
that
kick
he keeps
and the kick ahead. I mean, yeah, but I mean like they did the same thing with TJ in the game. Like obviously Halliburton is like an elite passer and a better passer than TJ, and like the way he like, but I also think that he also has like, I don't know, like it's interesting to see if their style of play becomes sustainable.
That to me does speak a bit to who the star player is, in terms of I think we all sort of like ascribe to like obviously Tibbs' influence, but Jalen being like who he is, sort of takes over a team. And if you want to go historical, like Magic being who he is, ends up sort of directing your franchise. And I think that is kind of what we see in Halliburton in terms of them obviously fitting the need to him, but him being unselfish, him being able. Obviously, this is going to sound overly so, unselfish, yeah, overly unselfish. Where at times you need to go get the ball, but at the same time that allows them to play the way they do and share the ball and do all these things and play at the speed that they play. And even when he makes a mistake, he can. We're still going to push it next time anyway. It doesn't matter. So like I think that is. obviously it's a double-edged sword, but I think it can be viewed as a compliment to him, and I think he does have outsized impact sometimes than what his stats will show. But then that's what I said in that game where he obviously had a bad turnover in that game, and then
A few. I mean, that game was just down the
I
stretch.
just
was
can't
just
believe
stupid.
they bailed out Tatum, and people talking about how good Tatum is. Okay, sorry. Noted Jason Tatum hater right here. The bib. That's me.
I'm a
the
critic.
bib.
I'm a critic.
Big. No, I'm just a football. I hate the way that you walked away.
I hate everything about you.
I'm a Jason Tatum hater, but like he shoots that wide open 3-pointer and clanks it, and then they gets bailed out by Jaylen Brown's stupendous shot. And I just angered
Brown
me.
bailed himself out too.
What angered me was the no timeout. I get the whole like no foul argument that has come up a few different times in these playoffs, but like to me, I can't find a pass right now.
That's on. I don't even.
Timeout. Somebody call timeout, please.
I don't even like. I feel like. I agree. Like I also think like I feel like it's one of those times where you don't even have to like wait to see that he couldn't get somebody. Just call timeout and advance the ball and then figure it out. Like the foul thing, I think was different just from the standpoint of like
that's an incredible shot.
Incredible shot. Like they ran a good action to get him that shot, and like it would have been like an awkward timing of the foul because he could have like baited him into 3 free throws there. So I think it's tough. Like on the Tatum point, I think he definitely got bailed out. Like I think like I was going back and forth with my friend who's a Celtics fan, and he was like, "Why is everyone saying Tatum played so bad?" Blah blah blah. And like I think saying he played bad is unfair because his final stats look decent. But like I also like he made 2 of his first 3 shots in the fourth quarter in like the first 2 minutes, and then didn't make a field goal until his and one in overtime, which was the weakest and one I've ever seen. He disappeared.
I legitimately said, "Why isn't Tatum on the floor right now?"
No, he disappeared.
And then I looked and I said, "Oh, he is. I just haven't seen him in 4 minutes." I was confused.
Like the one where and my friend's argument was that Joe Mazzulla iced him out of the offense. I said, if you think it behooves Joe Mazzulla to take your best player or the top 5-10 player in the league out of the offense and just run through shit through Derek White, I don't think you understand how this coaching thing works. Because why would he do that? Like that's just Tatum deferring for a long period of time.
Very long period.
And like even like the Derek White miss when they were down 3 with like the 10 seconds left, and Tatum gets the rebound. He shoots a 1-leg post fade over Miles Turner down 3 with 10 seconds left. It's like, why are you shooting that shot, bro? Like, why did you do that? And they obviously get bailed out. Like Jaylen Brown, that was like his only field goal or something like that in the fourth quarter too, or whatever. Like that was his only make. So it's just like, and obviously he made some big shots in the fourth quarter. But that's been the question with the Celtics, and that's why I was like, I would like as a Knicks fan, I was like, I would love to see the Celtics if everything was like we were healthy, because like the same issues that they have, no matter regardless of coach or like personnel, is fourth quarter clutch time offense in the playoffs, and that's because it's the same 2 guys who have been the engines of your fourth quarter offense, and like their most success last night was like mostly through Drew exploiting mismatches and going to Halliburton and stuff like that. So like I think my point is like with Boston is like if they play the way that they've played through this first, what did they play, 11 games or whatever, 12 games now, like they're not beating whoever comes out the West playing like the way they're playing right now.
I don't see it either. I thought the Knicks, of like a fully healthy Knicks team, would either like go one of 2 ways, where it would be like knockout, drag out, or it would be like, oh, we're just gonna shoot as many threes as we can and like run just 3 you out the gym. And I felt like the Pacers matchup for them is like, everyone is like, oh, they're just gonna wash them, but I felt like this plays into the Pacers' hands where we can just have a sprint. We're just gonna run back and forth, and we might steal 2 of these games just strictly off of randomness.
As much slander as I gave to the Pacers, like the way that they play is very unique and hard to kind of like game plan for, I guess, is like what I'm trying to say. Like the way that the pace that they play with, like the tempo, like their willingness to shoot, like they're also like more physical than like I think people give them credit for. Like they're a good team and like they play a unique style, and I think that like in the Knicks series they forced the Knicks to kind of play to their pace, and like if like the Knicks obviously were getting worn down at the same time, so it was like the perfect storm where it's like they did things to emphasize things that would like the Knicks were wounded, and they did things to further exacerbate that, like picking up full court the whole series, playing with pace, and like I think that for a team that's like kind of like been kind of more tested than the Celtics have, like it puts the Celtics in an interesting position to see how like they respond and navigate this. Obviously, Porzingis
But they won the
out.
game. Yeah, and to me, that's the next series almost like mentally, obviously, when you're in a tough series that should propel you, but like also just like X's and O's of just having to crash and like go get offensive rebounds and win that battle. I thought that was interesting, seeing them how that was gonna roll into the Celtics series with no Porzingis. Like, can Miles Turner go make an offensive rebound difference and change the series in that way and steal possessions that way? I don't know. That's
even,
just
like,
something I thought of.
The confidence too of the role players and stuff like that, like especially coming off Game 7 where they like didn't miss like
Game 3. That shot really changed the series, didn't
it? Changed. I was like literally depressed for like 2 days after that game and shot, and now I understand why, because it was so foreshadowing. Like the series would have been on wraps, and Nembhard hits. I mean, Nembhard's just been so good in the playoffs, bro. Like it's been crazy. Like that's like I think they've just continued to build confidence. Like
yeah,
they play like the way they're playing right now is like they play so free as it is, but now they're like we weren't supposed to be here. Like all the pressure's on Boston. Like we're just gonna play our game, play fast, shoot shots, and like.
But at the same
that's
time,
a dangerous team to face.
But at the same time, maybe why you're the 5th seed is the execution in the biggest moment of your season, where you just, by all intents and purposes, just stole a game against the number 1 seed. And I'm gonna throw this ball at throw this ball at the out of bounds.
Even those are weird. Like even like I didn't see the Neesmith turnover, but I saw him like dive out of bounds, and I didn't know what happened there. Like the ones with Halliburton like giving up his live dribble, like even the Tatum ones, like the one where he like got blitzed and then threw like an outlet pass for Halliburton the other way, and I was like, why did you put that ball over there? Like it was so like it was like
what were you even trying to do?
Watching that game, I was like telling my dad, I was like,
this is the best the East has to offer.
The Knicks would have beat both of these guys. Right. Fully healthy. These guys are clown shows. It's gonna be an interesting series. I do think Indiana's gonna look back and like even if they like hypothetically like win Game 2 or whatever and like get the split in Boston, whatever the case is, like they're just gonna like, at some point in the series like unless they win it, they're gonna look back and think it's like a really big missed opportunity in a year where they've actually like, to their credit, been like quite opportunistic with like they've been benefited by injury luck and stuff like that. But they've done like you play who's in front of you, as the cliche goes, and they've done that and they've done that very well. To wrap things up, we're gonna quickly touch on the Western Conference Finals. Very excited for this matchup. Two of the biggest talents and most exciting talents in the league,
members of Club Superstar. And the headliner of the next
one of them
tier,
is
standing next to Jalen. Kyrie.
Oh. Are they going with Ant?
No, he's in the club. He's
Already?
popping bottles. Yeah, he is. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
That seems premature.
No, it's called defense. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're not doing this. We're not doing this again.
6 for 24 in Game 7.
Do you have a?
Interesting. 6 for 24.
I shut down Jamal.
If I remember that correctly,
They have Jada
carry the one.
But we got Jada McDaniels.
What is that? 25.
What are you, Terrence Howard?
I saw that episode too. You know, if you think about it, the galaxies are very far and wide. If you take the
square root of 2,
take the radius of the speed of light, and you inject that into
a hectodecahedron.
You know, I always do a special from when I was young. My first memory was
in my mother's womb. Anyway,
and then I shut off the episode. We were saying about the.
Do you have a pick for this matchup?
I said going into the playoffs, like I think that Dallas could easily win the West. Just not easily, but like I said that I think Dallas could win the West because like it's really hard to slow down Luka and Kyrie for 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's been proven incorrect, but they're winning because of like PJ Washington and Derrick really Jones and Derek Lively, and I mean Gafford to an extent, but like I mean PJ has been unbelievable for them. And like Luka's been banged up the whole time and like been navigating that, and he had some big moments here and there, obviously, but we haven't seen like vintage playoff Luka that we've been accustomed to. And like Kyrie's had moments and shots and like sequences or stretches, but he hasn't also been like necessarily like what we think of Kyrie. But like that's probably kind of why it's all working. It's because they have defined roles. They have a very good defense. Like they play to their strengths. They're like Luka is consistently like showing trust in his teammates and their role players.
Yeah, to me, as like the narrative guy, this should be like my team where they have two superstars. Two superstars are going to have an outsized impact, and that's what's going to propel them to the championship. And yet, the two superstar team is a team that's like, no, PJ Washington is going to score 25 points, and we're just going to play outstanding defense. And then, whereas like the better built team with one quote unquote superstar is the one that's like just having a singular outsized impact on like the confidence of the team, and then allowing the rest of them to go.
That's the interesting thing about the Wolves is like you said it with Halliburton, like you said with Brunson, like the Ant gives that team just so much
confidence,
juice,
and belief.
Like
yeah,
like it's crazy. And like even like Game 6, like Game 7, the reason that they're in that game and not completely blown off the floor is because a huge first half from Cat, and like that's cool to see. Is like somebody who's doubted, like even myself, who's like doubted like Cat's like long term impact on winning or like playoff success and stuff like that. For him to have those moments and like to prove to be, obviously with the help of like Gobert, like and help and stuff, but like the most effective defender of like Jokic. Like I would have never seen that from Cat.
No, not the 3-time defensive player of the year, is it? Sorry, go on.
I mean, he did make what's his face? Rudy made it that post fade, big shot. Brian punched his desk. Damn it, my narrative. You can't make those.
My narrative is that you can't be a 3-time defensive player of the year and not have an impact in an aspect of defending, which is one-on-one defense. That's my narrative.
I don't think it's fair, but
yeah, no, you don't. I know you stat people would never think it's fair. But the defense plus minus.
It's not necessarily stats. It's more so just like what he allows you to do as a team defensive scheme. Like I don't think there's anybody in the sport who can stop Jokic one-on-one.
So then, from like a narrative perspective, then that's where you get one defensive player of the year. When you start getting into 3,
yeah, but
that's a big hole in your game.
Think about the defenses he was anchoring in Utah, when like the reason that the whole narrative of like Rudy gets put up before in the playoffs was because Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell were getting ran right past, and you were putting Rudy in so many precarious situations with Bogdanovich on the wing. It's just like there wasn't like you asked him to do a lot.
Yeah, 3-time defensive player of the year.
But what is your prediction, I guess, for that? Series?
You know, I'm an Ant guy. Just gotta put all my eggs in the Ant basket. No, you're not. We remember the takes that you put up. Jalen Brunson, he would cook Ant.
I did say that. I said that, but that was in.
Jalen Brunson.
That was in.
Destroy Ant.
I said that in September. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
and I think what ended up happening was that both of those players are better than I thought they were going to be, and they've each elevated to a new tier. But Anthony Edwards is
still in the playoffs.
He's winning the vote of public opinion.
Oh, sorry. Ant's also just is always going to be a hard cover because of the personality. Like he's going to win narrative things because of who he is.
He's cool.
Who doesn't
it's
like
fun.
Everybody loves it.
It's very fun.
So that's always going to be against your favor. But my heart.
I'm gonna rock with the Mavs just because I said that from the beginning. I don't care who wins.
I wasn't totally about to do a double switch on you. So so Wolves in 6.
Just for the sake of not agreeing with, I have a stick where I never agree with Mike.
Of course, Wolves in 6, baby.
Wolves in 6. I'm gonna go Mavs in 7. Before we get out of here, very quickly, the NBA, all NBA teams were just announced. I want to do something fun here.
Okay.
Well, I want you to guess. I want you to guess each team.
What? This guy thinks I can name enough basketball players to guess.
All right, who do you think? Who do you think the 5 players to make All NBA first team were?
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy right now. Center, Nikola Jokic.
It's positionless.
Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
So then I would need 2 forwards.
It's
or is it totally positionless?
It seems like it's totally positionless.
This guy had to repeat it again.
I'm actually
Anthony Edwards.
No.
That's 2 of my guesses.
It's not. Jokic, yes. Ant, no.
I'm just giving 5 guesses, and then we're gonna live with it. Jason Tatum.
Yes.
Ew, gross, disgusting. What the hell? By the fact that you're I need one more. They're gonna put a guard in there, right? Luka.
Yes.
By the fact that you forced me to do this, I'm gonna say Jalen Brunson.
No.
Darn. That was my 3 out of 5 is not bad.
So first team All NBA.
Yes.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh.
Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and
Wow.
Jason Tatum.
Still good, ain't he?
Second team All NBA. Any guesses?
No. Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson. Anthony Edwards.
That's why we're doing this, yes.
Anthony Edwards. That's actually really interesting. So, Anthony Edwards, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis.
Kawhi Leonard.
Third team All NBA.
Jesus Christ.
I was surprised he made the games criteria. Third team All NBA. LeBron James.
Yes. Keep the streak alive.
Steph Curry.
Keep the streak alive, King.
DeMontis Sabonis.
King James reigns on.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Bumpton, wow.
And Devin Booker. Of the second team All NBA players, no player received more than 3 first place votes. Besides Jalen Brunson, who received 37 first place votes.
Wow. To be first team.
Yeah. So, that's crazy. So it's like ranked as like a point system. Obviously, everyone on the first team. Shai and Jokic unanimous. Luka received 1 vote for second place. Tatum received 34 votes for second place, and Giannis received 11.
I mean, I think the only one you could swap him out for is Giannis, really.
Well, according to the votes, Giannis was way clear of Tatum. Like,
That's
total
strange.
points, Giannis had 437. Tatum had 427.
As a narrative builder, like, these are where who we think a player is going to overshadow
Oh, I agree.
a lot of things. I think, though, for, like,
I don't think that's,
realistically,
I don't think that's unfair.
all the
I think
things
that's
that
unfair.
Jalen Brunson deserves a lot of praise for this season. I just think that all the things that we would praise him for to elevate him to first team is also accomplished by Shai and
Oh, I agree.
Tatum,
But I
so.
think he could have made it over. Yeah, I guess it would be honest.
It
Tatum
would have to be
Tatum would be
honest,
tough
really, yeah.
considering how well the team played this year.
exactly. So it's kind of how the regular season dominance and scoring and all that is kind of.
But of the players who made second team All NBA, Brunson received 368 total points. The next highest was Ant with 285. So like, it seems like a lot of
A lot of people don't
were-
watch Minnesota basketball as well. Just to be fair.
Yeah, but I think more of Ant's ascension was like the playoff stuff than it was.
Then than the
necessarily
regular season.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess it's fair. But it seems like with Brunson, like he was like caught in like you're not like you're almost first team, but you're not first team, and like I don't disagree. Thought it'd be fun to recap that. For context, Devin Booker made first team third team All NBA with only 70 total points. Halliburton had 75, the only 2 players under 100 total points. I was surprised Maxey didn't get it.
Go on, King James.
Jaylen Brown didn't get it. Is it positionless? Because how did... I mean, there's 3 guards there. I don't know. We don't know. Any thoughts on any of that stuff? All NBA, anything? Or any other basketball thoughts before we ski down?
Again, narrative builder. So these things all matter. Jokic MVPs. He has one too many. Sorry, love him. Still one too many. And like I've heard the argument a lot of times, like we shouldn't think of historical context for these things. Again, story guy. I want the historical context of things. So yeah. For awards, not teams.
There's always a catch.
I want to say 2 things out of left field. Been watching a lot of WNBA basketball.
Me too.
Shout out.
They're kind of
Can I
Indiana Fever
can I
because they're on every national TV.
Yes.
10 o'clock tonight, Seattle Storm. I'll be there. Put in Celeste Taylor for the love of God.
I didn't want to say it. Put that Guardian doing nothing. Put it Celeste.
You need a spark, man. You're 0-4.
Do something. Shout out Valley Stream. I will say I've never been like the hater of women's basketball, but I also have fallen for like the low light tapes. I'm just gonna be truthful here.
Did you watch?
I'm gonna be like, I was not expecting the shooting level to be what the shooting level is. And I feel like everything about the women's game, like the way they set screens and play in the post, like is just the basketball.
No, it's good. It's good.
Like I should be the basketball that like me specifically should love, and like the shooting is just what always gets me. Like they really shoot the hell out of the basketball in the WNBA, and I'm gonna enjoy watching that for the season because I'm locked in now. Big Angel Reese fan.
I think I'm impressed by like there's no foul baiting. Like they're just playing, like their physicality, just laying each other out on screens, like people collapsing to the ground, no whistle. Like the physicality they play with is really cool. I think the WNBA game is really fun to watch, especially like if you get to see it in person. Like you have a lot more respect for it, just in terms of like seeing it.
I saw it from the TV.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you see it in person, like the pace and like the speed and the precision is like really cool to see. I think what's happening with the W is really interesting. Like I do think like the low light moments are kind of like funny in a way.
No, I mean,
like, I think
it's funny to watch Russell Westbrook's low lights too as a Laker.
But like, did you watch Fever Sun?
That's last 2 nights.
The last game that they were on. Oh my God, they're down 2, whatever. Indiana's down 2. Like a few seconds left, they run a nice out of bounds play. Caitlin Clark gets doubled, throws a split to Aaliyah Boston. Euro step, smokes Olay for the tie, and I was enraged.
This is why you're the number one in the world.
Took the ball, right hand, stepped through. She's got
beautiful
overtime. Yes, more basketball. Shoots it off the top of the square, no rim. I said, "Oh my God!" I was.
No disrespect.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just presenting.
Actually, full disrespect.
I'm presenting.
How did you smoke?
I'm presenting the facts of what happened, and like. I also think the animosity towards Caitlin Clark is a little weird, just from the standpoint of like
funny,
it
right?
literally has nothing to do with her, and like people talk about it as if like she's responsible for these things
for the narrative, the media attention around.
It's
it.
Literally just simply like dollars, like it's dollars and cents. Like they're following where the money is. They're like, oh, Caitlin Clark sells out X and X, and will sell out these jerseys and these tickets. Like we want her on everything, including shoes and endorsements. Like that's. Seems logical because we want to make money, as compared to like people being like, but you never did this for Asia Wilson, and it's just like
I love me some Asia Wilson.
Asia Wilson's the best player.
Swag, so drippy.
Is the best player in the WNBA. Congratulations on finally getting your first signature shoe with Nike, I believe. But like, people were mad last year when Sabrina got a shoe over her, but it's like it has nothing to do with how good or competent they are as players. It's like people watch Sabrina's game and like they're drawn to it because of the shooting, which is why she was in the 3-point contest with Steph, and it's nothing to do with like. An indictment on like Asia Wilson, and like obviously there's like the race angle of it, which is like,
listen, I've been saying
inevitable,
this, like,
but also
constantly. Like the WNBA has, the NBA in general has done like a tremendous job of building stars. Like it's kind of what they do, more than any other league, really. And they have so many angles to play with here, and I need the race angle turned all the way up. I need it.
He wants the great white hope.
That's exactly what I want the league to expand. So
I think it will.
It is. We're watching it. People or at least I can speak for myself. Where I was like, when they got to like the Nets were in the Liberty, we're in the final, right?
Yeah.
So like I wanted to tune into games. Like I looked out for them and went to watch games. But obviously, like apart from that, I wasn't like super interested in it. And now I'm super interested in it. And there's people who I know now, and I hope the league does what they always do, which is build stars. And if we got to play a little Magic and Larry Part 2, let's do it. Why not?
But I also think
why not?
I also think like it's just good for like all their games being on national TV is so good for the league. Like I think like especially because it's a small league. Like if you put all the Indiana Fever games on national TV, after like
I mean they got to get a couple wins first.
I mean yeah, but if you're the league, like Caitlin, as long as Caitlin Clark's playing well. And like if you put all the games on TV in the span of 3 weeks, you've seen every team in the league. That's
Yeah,
good for the,
that
that's
that
good
was
for
the
the
shocking
brand.
thing
That's
because
good for the players.
I checked the standings and I was like, what?
there's
It's on one page. I didn't have to go east and west. There was just
since when are they playing in the Turkish league?
so yeah. But I'm into. I sort of like had like the little intention, like I'm gonna be intentionally watching it, but then it was just like, no. Now when WNBA games on or when I can go when the NBA season ends, and it's like, what's gonna fill my time now? It's gonna be WNBA basketball because I like seeing people shoot step back threes and post up like I would if I was in a park. Anyway, I shot a baby.
For context, Brian, before he came here, drove to a. I was gonna say desolate. I said desolate on 3 out of 4 pods.
And he said it on 4 out of 5, so let it go.
And was just working on his jump hooks and stuff like that.
That's
just
all I
hoping that Arika and Goomba Wale wouldn't come out of the bushes and pack his shot.
I had.
Who was your favorite WNBA team?
Do I have a favorite team now?
Yeah.
You know, hometown. We have I'm biased though, but yeah, no, I biased to the person whose family member I semi know.
Oh yeah, we all root for the Fever.
Yeah,
play Celeste more.
Yeah, but I like the Liberty. Sabrina Stewie's like disgusting. And what's their? I can't remember the lady's name now.
The Benasia Laney?
Yes, Benasia
Laney.
She has 3 names. That's what
Hamilton. Benasia Laney Hamilton. She got married this offseason, I believe, because last year her name was Benasia Laney. But Benasia Laney is mad good. And in the playoffs last year,
she took the matchup on Caitlyn and was just it's action. Yeah. Just like, no, you're not going anywhere.
But she was an all-star 2 years ago before everyone else got there and stuff like that. And that team is loaded though. They have John Quill Jones,
I know, right?
Vandersloot. That team is crazy. I was a Mystics fan last year because I got to cover them and stuff, so that was really cool. But their team looks a lot different now. Like Natasha Cloud's gone. Natasha Cloud is gone. Elena Deladon is gone. So the team looks different. But shout out Brittany Sykes, very good at basketball. Dunks and layup lines, and she's like 6 feet. Very exciting to watch.
And as we leave, also someone who left, Jurgen Klopp. For my European soccer fans, have to give the biggest shout outs.
Up the Reds.
This guy's not a Liverpool fan. Anyway,
I'm not.
My ultimate team one of like my biggest inspirations, really growing up, really changed the way I want to say 10 years, 9 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. Wow. Massive inspiration for me. Old. Yeah. He like generally like his quotes and like the philosophy of life like impacted the way I view like the world. So like apart from football, he really became not the normal one, someone who wanted to be the normal one. And then obviously just what he did on the pitch was immense. And just got to give a shout out. Went to England, failed at seeing Liverpool. But
Arsenal.
Don't want to talk about it. Failed at Liverpool. Some dark days, but Jurgen taught me to get up and keep going. So, you know, I'll keep doing it. And yeah, do want to say
you're not alone.
That's not how the song goes. But again,
what's that song go?
But to
money.
Oh, money. Sadio. Anyway, yeah, but you know, just to wrap it up. Yeah, Liverpool gets to play in multiple competitions, so even if they don't win the big one, you know, they can still have progress and joy.
Congratulations.
Don't know if that happens with certain other teams who are built really well, but
Julius, get your head on this. Oh, and he catches it and shoots a post fade.
For watching. Appreciate you.
Congratulations, Man City.
I still know what disestablishment. Don't congratulate Man City. They have this. Oh my, I can't.
People I'm a Crystal Palace fan.
Okay.
Shout out.
Anytime people talk about Pep, I can't get over it.
What's his name?
Pep won 3 leagues back to back. Yeah, I know. He had the greatest player in the world.
Is Wilfred Zaha still at Palace?
Okay. Yeah, the greatest
his name? Someone with the O. Eze. Eze.
Listen.
What were you saying?
Shout out Jurgen Klopp.
Best players in the world.
Pep Guardiola's whack. I hope the Knicks follow Liverpool's trajectory, but if they don't, it's okay.
And thank you guys.
I hope you're okay with that.
I don't have
And
enough.
as-
I don't
as
know.
always
I don't
said,
know enough ball for it to agree or disagree.
Pacers in 7. Pacers in 7.
Your state is awful. Except for if you're listening to Smoothie the Bib from Indiana, then we love you. But Tyrese Halliburton's a front runner, and we'll catch you in the next one.
So am I.
Peace.